I want to know what kind of a kid you were.
Well,
Where you were a child star at what age? 12, 14, something like that? Very early.
About 12,
Yeah.
professionally, yeah. But my parents, my stepfather, I should say, was a singer. And when I was about 7 or 8, really to keep me occupied because my school was evacuated because of the war and things like that, he decided that just to keep me busy, he would give me some singing lessons. And I don't know whether he had heard me singing or anything like that. I never thought I could sing, but he started teaching me and found that I had a voice, and it was a kind of freak voice.
How do you mean that?
Well, it had an incredibly large range. It was very thin and quite squeaky, but terribly long and very powerful. And I could do incredible acrobatics with it. I mean, all sorts of coloratura songs, and it sounded a bit like a juvenile Ema Sumac or something like that,
The lady who sang 4 octaves?
That's right, yes.
You have a great range.
No, I had 4 octaves. I don't anymore.
You've lost octaves?
Yes.
At what age do octaves start falling away?
Well, depends if you're a boy or a girl.
Oh.
Mine kind of started to crash about my ears when I was about 17. And I guess that what happened was that instead of being a long, thin voice, my voice began to mature and kind of, shorten.
You lost notes at both ends or at one end?
Yes, and the whole gimmick by the time I was 17 was that I was this fantastically incredible high singer. And when I started to lose them, I thought that, I might as well take my life. There was nothing else left.
Really? You were that sad about it?
Well, no, that worried, because I was committed to shows and I was expected to sing, and when you suddenly can't, I was kind of worried. But
you said your stepfather, did you not live with your real parents?
no, my real parents were divorced. I lived with my mother and her second husband, that was my stepfather.
Oh, I see.
And my dad also remarried, and they both had separate children. And
So you have a lot of half-brothers and sisters?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Well, was it rough for you as a kid being thrown into the theater, which is a wicked world that's supposed to warp you and turn you into it?
No, it was kind of fun. Looking back on it, I suppose there were rough times, but you never think at the time that they're rough. I mean, I was allowed all sorts of privileges that other kids were not, and I was allowed to go into the theater, and I was allowed to watch from the side of the stage and get involved in it all, and I felt I was the luckiest girl in the world. I guess I did miss out on a few things. I didn't have that many chums of my own age and things like that, and I didn't have much schooling. And
You didn't?
No, I had a kind of spasmodic schooling until I was about 12, when I did start working professionally, and then I had a governess who, God bless her, tutored me and taught me anything I might know.
Did anybody warn you as you were going into the theater that there are people who will say, "You want to sit on my lap, little girl?" And
well, I had
like
a few
that?
awful letters from one or two people who thought it might be fun to write like that, but no, people said that people in the theater were terrible and evil, and I ought to watch out, and I never found a soul that was really mean to me. And I guess, people never hurt puppies, and I guess when I was really young, they never thought to hurt me either.
Yeah. Have you met any lousy people since
Oh,
then?
well, of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. We can get to some of those later,
yes.
when Blake gets out.
In the next commercial, yeah.
Okay. I wonder, I asked you about your image earlier. I hope that doesn't bother you, because I don't see anything wrong with your image, or I'm not even sure you have that one, because you have played a kind of variety of roles.
Well, I think I do have an image. It'd be silly not to admit that people think in a certain way about me. I'm not completely sure.
Well, they wouldn't
what that
cast
is.
you as Geronimo.
No. No. Well, go on.
Do you want to let loose a string of profanity here?
No, I did that in the dressing room before I came on.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you decide to write a book all of a sudden?
I see where you're leading. It had to do with a string of profanity, in actual fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a long story. I'll be as brief as I can. My stepdaughter, Blake's daughter, Jennifer, was 11 years old, and all of us, that's Blake's 2 children, my daughter, secretaries, and Blake's associate producer and his wife, and a nanny, and all sorts of other people, were all on location in France and Belgium and Ireland for the film Darling Lily that we were all making. And the children just kind of went berserk. There was no one really to keep an eye on them, and they never brushed their teeth, and they never put on clean clothes, and they really just ran wild. And I finally said, this has got to stop, being very officious and in my proper Mary Poppins manner. And so I dreamt up a few. I said, let's make a game out of it. Come on, whoever doesn't brush their teeth 3 times, who fails to brush their teeth 3 times, or who doesn't at least pick up clothes and put them in the laundry basket to save us all the trouble, will have to pay a forfeit. And Jenny, my stepdaughter, said, okay, but you play too. And I said, all right, well, what should I do? And she said, don't swear so much. And I didn't realize that I had been swearing, talking of profanities, and so I said, okay, and lost my part of the game within the first half hour we started to play it. And so...
I bet you can make a stagehand blush when you want.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, I said, well, okay, what's my forfeit to be?
Yeah.
And she said, well, okay, write me a story. Mm-hmm. And so I said, fine. And I was going to write just a short thing and get it over and done with and try to make amends. But then I thought, no, I'll try and write something that may turn out to be just a little constructive, that might teach us something, that might make something of this summer that it's not. And so I decided to try and write a story about a little girl who lived in the country, because Jenny's a girl who lives mostly in the town. And that's how it came about. And then I just couldn't stop writing.
I have it's called Mandy, and it says Julie Edwards. Mm-hmm. So you're not capitalizing on your well-known name, which is interesting. It's a nice book for kids.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you actually wrote it. It's not.
I really did. No, it took me 2 years to do it, believe it or not, and because I didn't, do it all at once. I did it when I could, and every time Jenny doesn't live with us all the time. Mm-hmm. She lives with her mother in London, and every vacation that she came to spend with us, she'd say, "Is it done yet? Is it ready?" And I finally really had to finish it. Yeah. And
I'm glad you did.
No, so am I.